Okay, by special request, we're going to talk a little bit about um, voice over IP. So we talked about it a little bit before, but I'm going to go over it a little more for you guys. And if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to make a recording, even though we talked about it before, in case somebody else is interested. The final is on Saturday. No, our final originally is on Monday, the 20th of May at 4 p.m. Ha! And remember something for the entire 2 minutes. Okay, yes. Miércoles, 4 p.m. the 20th. If you need to take it on another date, your other options are noon the same day or noon on the Saturday the 18th of May. And you can just show up whichever one you want. It's all the same to me. And it's great if you send me a note just so I know if there's like a lot of people, but you don't need any special permission. So don't worry if you didn't tell me ahead of time, you can still come. Okay, so in voice over IP, there are two key problems. One is figuring out how to duplicate all of the signaling that happens in the public telephony world. They use something called out-of-band signaling, which means all of the messages back and forth between the equipment to let people know what's going on and what they should be doing. Like, for example, here's an address that somebody just typed into their telephone. Please ask the switch in Milwaukee, Wisconsin to establish a circuit, because that's what this address points to, is a telephone in some other part of the country. That's a control message. It's sent in a packet, but it's not sent over the circuit. It's sent on a separate communication channel. So if I draw it out for you guys a little bit, I don't think I've ever drawn this for anyone else. I don't know why, but I'll draw it for you guys because it will make a lot more sense. So the phone industry has to dedicate a certain amount of bandwidth for the voice call. They can't steal any of it to use for signaling. If they do, then the voice call sort of falls apart. So they use what's called out-of-band signaling. And when you have a telephone at your house, you have a circuit between you and the central office building, which is the generic name of the building that is the first place on the world's telephone network. This central office building can get to any other on the planet. And there's one in each big neighborhood. So there's one on Avenue de Revolución just north of Nuevo Sur. And there's a tall building there. But this is the only circuit that you have. So this is a pair of copper wires between your home and the CO building. And so everything happens here. So you cannot use this circuit to do signaling and voice at the same time. You have to pick one or the other. And so, so close. So that's why when you begin a phone call, first you use the circuit to send the control information. You type in an address. It plays a special tone for you, a dial tone. That's a control sound. It's not part of a phone call. It's not part of what you're trying to talk and say. You hear the tone. You type in the address. You have a special keypad to type it in. You are sending messages over the same circuit that's going to be used for voice. So you're stealing. It cannot be carrying a voice call at the same time. So first you do that. Once that's done, what you're basically doing is giving the instructions to the CO. Once they're at the CO, then the CO connects to the rest of the world with a pair of circuits. One of them is for the voice call. The other is for the control signaling. So all the control signaling happens over a separate circuit. So it's called out of band. So you always have all of your bandwidth here, 100% is for your signal. And once you start your phone call, 100% of the bandwidth here is used for your signal as well. When you move it to voice over IP, it changes. We don't use two networks. We use the same network for signaling as we use for all the control messages, like handshaking and establishing a connection and sending a ping and doing a trace route and everything else, the start of a packet, changing IP addresses, all of that stuff is over the same network as the data. We just use the same network for all of them. So whenever you get to a point on a network where you have to get to voice over IP, you're going to have a piece of equipment, and let's say this one is built by Cisco, and this one is built by Western Electric, who used to build all of the telephone switches for AT&T. Right? You're going to have both types of signals. So this Cisco gear has to know how to speak this control signal, which, by the way, is Q931. It's a totally different protocol than you've ever heard. Has nothing whatsoever to do with the internet. Has nothing at all to do with IP. It's not in the 5-layer stack. It's its own world. It lived for decades before any of that stuff. But on the back side of it, you've got to combine the two, because this device sits on a LAN with everything else. So if you have a telephone, a voice over IP phone on your LAN, we're going to mix control signals and voice signals together. We'll compress the voice signals into packets, and we'll send them as very small pieces of IP data, and we will use a protocol also for the control signals. And the two protocols that we use are called H.323, and the other one that's used, they're alternatives. You pick one or the other. The other one is SIP, Session Information Protocol. And they both kind of came up at the same time. Most systems will do both. You pick which one you want, but as a network manager, you choose one. You elect one. And so when somebody at home dials a phone number that you have rented from Telmex, and let's say it's this one here, 81-2200-2298. I think that was my phone number my first year here. When you dial it, you pick up the phone, and on your touch tone telephone, you type, 2200-2498, just like you always have. And you can hear it. You can hear the sounds it makes. They're audio signals, because this network was designed to carry human hearable voice. So that's why all of the signaling from home, you can hear it. Like modems, you can hear what a modem does. You can hear what a fax machine does. They're all using a network that was originally designed to carry human voice. And so anything you want to do on that network has to be in that audio range. It won't carry signals in any other frequency. It's designed around the human voice, period. So once it gets to the CO, then a message is going to arrive here saying somebody is trying to call this number. It will have an idea whether you are online or not, because you are running software in this phone. It's an IP phone with an Ethernet jack in the back, or maybe it's a software phone. It's an app on your laptop. But when you connect it to the network and you ran DHCP and you got an IP address, one of the things this software did is it reached out and told this device, hey, I'm on the network. And if anybody wants to try to call me, here's the IP address I have this afternoon. I moved to Aulas Tres, and here's where I'm at. And so that will arrive over here. And then this device will send a message back to the central office saying, connect the call. It will accept the call, so the ringing sound will stop, and it will answer if you pick up the phone. But all that stuff is done on the phone side. The signal, the voice signal itself, arrives with a special type of compression that only the phone companies use, and you've got to convert it to something that will work on IP. So you have to take the data, decompress it, demodulate it, figure out what it looks like in analog, and then recompress it with a different codec to put it inside of an IP datagram so it can go across the network over here. And then this phone knows how to speak that protocol. There's a list of about 60 different compression codecs that you can choose. And some of them are the same ones that are used for CDs and for television and everything else. But you negotiate, your device negotiates with the Cisco call manager at the beginning of the session. How much bandwidth do I have? Do you think you could do 64 KB? No. How about TELP G711? Okay, we only need 6 KB per second. I have that much. Okay, let's do that. And so it'll start compressing the data and sending you, 50 packets a second or whatever it is. 10 packets a second would be more typical. And it works. It's actually quite elegant. It's a miracle. It was very hard to get it done. And the problem people always have with this network is usually not engineered to handle this, because you and I can deal with dropped video packets. I mean, after all, you blink your eyes, don't you? Every time you blink your eyes, you're dropping packets. Because if I do this, I can't see you. But it doesn't bother me too much. Right? You can do this. I can still see you. But doing like that. Boy, then you have no light going on anymore, right? That's the human brain cannot tolerate dropped voice packets the same way. So this network has to work really, really well to carry voice. So it has to be engineered exceedingly carefully. Fortunately, now what most vendors and customers understand is that they want their network to carry voice, and so they will engineer it for that in the beginning. But there was a time, and there's still lots and lots of networks this way, that were never intended to carry that at first, and now you are trying to get them to do it, and you're going to run into trouble. Like if you try to do it over our Wi-Fi network here, if you try to do a Skype call, usually it'll work okay, but you guys have heard my WebEx recordings. Sometimes the audio is funny, right? That's because of that. It's not designed for it. So it's good to understand what's going on. You can run performance tests. There's programs you can run that will sort of test and tell you where you have issues, and then upgrade equipment. So that's what's behind H323 and SIP. So if we walk through the slides a little bit, there are messages that these send back, like messages to set calls up and to do things like that. This is not the SIP one. This is RTCP. I went backwards. Here's the type of messages SIP will do. An acknowledgement, a buy, a cancel, register. So my wife used to work for Shell. She retired last December. And she worked at a company that used a voice over IP system by Microsoft. It was called Lynx. And I think we have it at Tech as well. And so she didn't have a physical phone that she carried around with her. She traveled all over the world. She did have one in her office, however. And it looked like a phone until you turned it over and you realized there was an Ethernet port in it. Like, that's not like a normal phone. So it was a voice over IP phone, but they made it with the same buttons and the same display. So people, like secretaries, they didn't need to be retrained. It worked exactly like a phone did before. So that's nothing other than a little tiny computer with a bunch of special interfaces on it. No keyboard, just touch tones, no monitor, just a little LCD display. You could build one. They're not hard. What she took around with her was her laptop, of course. So when she would go to Singapore, to Shell's office, in maybe Kuala Lumpur actually, she would show up at the Shell office, she would open her laptop would DHCP for an IP address from the local Shell Wi-Fi hotspot in the office above her head, and the programs on her computer would recognize, we have internet access again. And this, you see this all the time. Dropbox will turn into a dark icon again. Google Sync will start syncing things again. Your little Skype thing will go because it knows it's online. And one of the programs that she had that would do this was this Microsoft Lynx software. And the system that was responsible for registering her to the outside world, to the telephone network, was in Houston. And so her software would send a message across Shell's international network back to this call manager in Houston, and it would register the fact that she was online, and it would tell this device the internal Shell IP address where she was at. And instantly, it would stop rejecting phone calls. Because when she was on the plane and all of that, if somebody called her phone number, like I called it from home, this call manager knows that she's not online, so there's no point in ringing the phone. They would just send it to voicemail, because they have to emulate that as well. They have a voicemail program that captures these packets and stores them in an MP3 file and emails you the MP3 file as a voicemail message. Pretty cool, better than regular. And when she got online again, it would first ring her phone. So it would send a control message using SIP all the way across the world to Kuala Lumpur, and her software would be listening on a port number, and it would send a message to that port, and it would say, incoming call, here's the data, what do you want to do? And so her software would wake up, it would start playing an MP3 sound that sounded like a telephone ringing or whatever phone ring she wanted, but it was just a little MP3 file she was playing. ring, whatever it might be, could be a custom ringtone, and it would pop up a little dialog box, and it would say the phone number, and if it knew who it was from her contact, it would say Kevin Long calling, and here's the phone number. And she could type, click a button with her mouse and send it to voicemail or answer it or whatever. And she had a Bluetooth headset, and it would transfer it through there. I never knew she was on a voice over IP phone. She had no idea what kind of network I was on either. So they work great. They work great, and allowed companies to throw half of their networks away. So you stop spending any money on phone networks. Think about the way the phone network used to work. If I moved my house from where I'm at now to another building, I would have to call somebody in the telecom department. They would come and physically move my phone. They would rewire and repatch stuff and find a spare copper pair, and they would go down into the basement of some building where the phone switch was. They have a little small central office on campus, and they would find out the pair of wires I'm on, and they would go in and reprogram and say, Kevin's phone is now on this pair of wires. So it could take a week or 3 or 4 days to get it done. But what I do now is I open my laptop, and that's it. I'm done. It's all done via software. So it doesn't care what physical infrastructure. That's a different layer of the 5-layer stack. IP couldn't care less what your layer 1 or 2 technology is. And we know that. We can open a browser on Wi-Fi, on Ethernet, on dial-up. It doesn't make any difference. So that's the responsibility of these protocols. And so here you see Bob has 3 different ways to be reached. He has his normal email address. Right now he currently has this particular IP address, but that could change at any minute. And he has an outside telephone number if you'd rather call him that way. So if I'm on campus and I'm Olga over in the department, I can pick up the phone and dial my full telephone number. But if it's a VoIP phone on network, it'll never leave tech and go to Telmex and do all that. The software will go, that's here on campus. We can just forward your packets over there. So the software works well. So you do the SIP stuff up front, and at the end and in the middle, you're just basically exchanging audio. This basically shows that a caller is trying to get a hold of someone, and you basically send your calls through this intermediate server, and it has the responsibility of figuring out, where is Bob right now? Oh, Bob's in Kuala Lumpur. So I'm going to send the message all the way over and saying, you have a phone call, would you like it? And he says yes, and they go, okay, I'll take the phone call, and then you exchange audio. So it looks like a regular technology protocol, like a communications protocol. Here's a picture of this device that sits in between the two. This device is weird. It has Ethernet cables on one side and phone cables on the other. Actually, the phone company will come and install phone lines into your router. You have a card with phone lines in it. And they can be different technologies because the phone company offers different ones. But it's basically a small set of them. And this stuff goes back and forth. So there's a little bit more to this. Here's the Q931 type of stuff I'm telling you a little bit about. I'm telling you kind of half-truths because this book doesn't really go into telecommunications protocols that deeply. That's a whole other course, and Tech doesn't have any course that talks about any of that stuff right now. But you can convert between the two, and the software is interesting to write. So here's this Q931. It goes to a regular telephone call. So it works. Okay, what else do you guys want to know about the voice kind of stuff? Is this kind of what you were hoping to learn? Is this the kind of stuff? Okay. So you can write a software package that will work with anyone's phone system. The systems that most people have are generic. As long as you speak H323 or SIP and support the audio codecs, you can connect to anyone's VoIP system. You may need a password or something, but you don't need any special technology. They're all standards-based. So you could go home this afternoon, download a Q931 shell from GitHub, and add your own user interface on it and do some other stuff like that, and take phone calls. No problem. From anything, from a phone. Some people write special apps for the phone. Hello. That will take voice over IP phone calls that way. Like Google Voice has a voice over IP app. It kind of looks like the phone app on the iPhone, but the colors are different, so you know it's not the same one. So you can write the code to do that. And you can link in libraries that will take audio from your iPhone, for example, or from your microphone on your laptop and crank out small IP packets using the compression protocol that they want. And the software will also help you negotiate which one to pick. You can always try guessing. You can start with one and say, like, I only know how to do G711. Gosh, I hope you can do that. Yes, we can do G7. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to start sending you G711 audio packets, and whatever the other person says, encode them and send them back to me as G711. I will play the ones you give me, and I will encode the ones I need to say. So you can write the code to do it and just start with the library. So anyway, okay. Do you have an interest in getting pizza?
Sure.
All right. Somebody feel like ordering it?
What restaurant?
You guys can pick, but what the other sections have all done is they've ordered from Domino's or Pizza Hut. Somebody volunteered, I think, last time that they would help, but I don't care who does it. So who wants to try to order food?
From internet or?
Yeah, whatever. Phone? You want to try it? Do you have like a Domino's account or something? No. You don't really need one though, do you?
Or do I?
You want to try doing it? It's probably faster. The other classes have had a little trouble getting it all to work over the internet because they don't exactly know where the university is, and you have to kind of pick through addresses. They don't know which address.
Like, I don't know if
they will know. If you talk to somebody, they may know.
Okay, so I'll just say the contact.
Or you can put it on speakerphone, and we can all help you order.
Okay.
Hola.
Okay, uno versus uno.
No, yo es la que tengo que
Bueno, pizza hot saben que dos pizzas. Bueno, no lo quieran, no quieren poner. I just don't know, like, can you pay with cards as well? Yeah, that's it.
And if you have to take, yeah, so you guys can help her, right? Okay. Just put it on speakerphone if you need to. You guys are the pizza experts. You're in college, and you go to tech. This is like an extra credit problem for the final to see if you can order pizza in less than 10 minutes. There's no pressure. So, probably not. Do you need to change dates?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay,
So here are the choices. So there's 3 sections of this class. The first one has their exam on Saturday, May the 18th at 4 at noon. The second and third are both on Monday the 20th, one at noon and one at 4 p.m. So if you need to do other time than that, just let me know. So you got to help keep track of like when the date range is for taking exams, because I will not probably be very aware of that.
Okay.
You are where you need to go. As long as it's at least the 18th, then you can have confidence I've at least written the exam and given it to someone, and therefore I can give it to you. So WhatsApp me a message saying, we talked in class, I'm here in Seattle or wherever you are, and I need to take the exam. Can I do it today? And I'll say, yes, when do you want to take it? And you'll say, I can take it now. And so I'll send you a Dropbox link,
Okay.
and you print it and take it and scan it and send it in. It doesn't do you any good to have internet access because I write them all custom anyway. So the answers are nowhere on Earth. Sometimes I write impossible questions and they really are nowhere on Earth. They're nowhere in the universe. But usually not. Usually I'm better than that.
So then I send you an email?
No, WhatsApp.
Oh,
Yeah. When it gets to that point in the semester, you do not want to wait for me to answer emails. So, but that you just got to bug me, and I'll send it, and you scan it with the PDF app and WhatsApp it back.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to do it. You can do it anywhere you want. I don't care how you do it. It doesn't matter. You've got lots of options there. Yeah. So it's ours is on Monday at 4 p.m. the 20th of April. Yes. She's got about 6 minutes left, doesn't she? What did? The power on campus? Really? For the heat, probably. Mine is working okay, but... Well, no, mine's slow too, so I must be having a lucky day.
How many people?
That's kind of up to you guys. They sell the big... That's up to you guys. It's not my pizza. Well, everybody else got pepperoni. One class today, the beginning class, got pepperoni and cheese, and one with like a meat lover's pizza. 2 small round ones, and then they got the big pepperoni like this, big box.
Por medio del pepperoni está bien.
¿Todos gustan pepperoni? Everybody like pepperoni pizza? Yeah. Yes. Correct. There's also one at noon. Hola, ¿qué tal? Ay, ¿tiene dolor? Okay. Are you right-handed? Yeah. Okay, so you're going to need to ask for extra time or something on the exam, okay? Yeah, I'll give it to you. Just let me know what you need. So, yeah, you can bring someone with you if you want and tell them what you want them to write down for you. Okay. Yeah. That's totally okay.
Si quieres, vamos sentando acá.
Always competitive. I love it.
31.
Have you rebooted lately? That's, no, don't do that. You can shut it down. So I will send you guys a study guide, just like usual. The exam only covers the information since the third partial. So what I'll try to do is give you a study guide that's got some practice problems in it, and that will count towards points in the class. So you can get them turned in beforehand. I'll release the solutions a few days before the exam, so you can check them. But going through them will earn you bonus points. Okay?
Like you follow that by what date?
Yes. Yeah. But our exams are all start on Saturday, end on Monday. So I can release it, on Thursday night or something like that, and it'll still give you a couple of days. But I want to give you guys a chance. It's not exactly a homework, but you want to do it because it's practice, and if you turn it in, you get points for it. Right? So at the end of the semester, that's kind of a fun way to kind of do it, and then everybody knows it's like very relevant to their grade because it's exactly what you're going to need for the exam. Right? Make sense? So I need to have it out this weekend for everybody. Okay, and we've covered all the new material. We just did a review of about 30 minutes on SIP and voice over IP, but that's because someone asked about it. They wanted me to go over it again. Not because we're going to have lots of questions on voice over IP. ¿Qué grande? ¿Rectangular o redondo? ¿Qué grande? No, entonces no es suficiente. You guys can eat probably like 4, can't you? Are you serious? 3 medium pizzas? No, not enough.
Una que la cuadrada.
Una rectangularidad cuadrada, sí.
No, rectangular. It's not very big.
Yeah, rectangular. Yeah. Well, pero it's cut into little quadrados.
Okay.
So,
You're right.
I am now an expert on the pizza in the last week because I've had 4. Yes, yeah. Well, 4 classes have bought it. So
You have 3 days left.
I have 3 2022s and 1 2018.
And which one do you like?
Oh, I like the intellectual challenge of 2022 better because you guys go a lot deeper, and you ask better questions because you know stuff already. But 2018, it's fun to kind of teach people the basics of the stuff, so they actually have an idea of what in the world's going on. So, yeah. So it's fun. But the 2022 keeps it interesting for me because otherwise it's like the same basic stuff over and over, and it gets old. So the same stuff. It's a hybrid course there. It's a senior level class, and so it covers all of 2018 and some of this class as well. Yeah. But double E's take it, electrical engineers take it, and computer engineering students, that's another department, believe it or not, they take it as well. And I teach computer architecture there as well. So, and I taught it here the first year at the doctoral level, but that was because they couldn't find enough classes in computer science for me to teach. So they borrowed me over there to teach one, and they've never had to ask me again because they had plenty of classes here for me to teach. Those are totally different doctorate level classes because I have no idea what the direction will go, where they're going to head, and they usually have a specific topic they need to know more about in order to do good research. And so we kind of skim over everything and then dive deeper into what each of them had. So those classes are also usually 5 or 6 students is all. So they're more interesting. And those are the ones where I probably learn the most because you have to constantly read on what's new. And so that forces me to kind of, and that's why I like them. They keep me up to date, you know. But that's why I always do all this other web stuff, look at this and that. Just always something new in every class. I will never just like deliver the same slides every semester. And we good? You guys are good? Okay, so we're just going to have pizza as soon as it gets here, and then that's it. We're done. We don't have any real new material to kind of go over. So some of you guys have projects and stuff you need to go get back on and things like that, so we're not going to hog up your time. So anybody here like baseball?
I don't watch it, but I like when I.
So the Astros from Houston played in Monterrey last weekend, and they killed the Anaheim Angels. Yes, 8 home runs in 2 games. It's like a grand slam, which is a home run. No, I couldn't get anybody to agree to come with me, so I just went home like usual. My son did not want to come down. He just started a new job in Seattle and has some huge certification exam in June.
I remember you said.
And he can't do anything else other than study for that for a while. So, but I know that's BS. I know he's going out with friends on Friday nights and like.
What is he getting to?
To be able to trade on the New York Stock Exchange.
Oh yeah.
The state of New York has very difficult exams. more or less. That's not his job. But if you're going to go anywhere near Wall Street, you have to have all those certifications. So you can't do anything. You can't get financial advice. You can get arrested. You know, you have to know the rules, know the law. He worked for Chase, for the CEO of their investment division, which sounds really impressive until they tell you they have about 15 CEOs in each of the little divisions. But this guy actually had access to the jet. So whenever he needed to go with him to do a presentation or whatever, he got to fly on the jet. Yeah, that was a big treat for him. But now he works for Russell Investments, which is another huge, giant investment firm. And his girlfriend lives in Seattle, so she's from there, and so they got tired of Manhattan and moved out there. So I'm expecting to hear news at some point, you know, that they're going to get married, or who knows what will happen. So he's very, very timid about telling me anything.
Why?
I have no idea. I've never. He just doesn't ever talk about. Very rarely. The joke about kids is when your daughter goes off to college, she calls you every day, and when the son goes off to college, you have to find a female cousin or someone else to go spy and tell you what's going on. And that was our experience. We never heard from him, never.
Where did he go?
Stanford.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And which is why I'm still working, because it's I had to sell my house to pay for his college education. Yeah. It's out of control in the U.S. We'll see. I don't know. The schools aren't very big. They can't accept that many students. So as long as there's that many students that are willing to pay that amount, you know, it's sort of like saying the price for a Gucci purse is a bubble, it's going to burst. Well, not as long as there's millionaires willing to buy Gucci purses. They don't need to sell 1 million of them. So I don't know. I thought so, but it's been so bad for so long. I'm like, yeah, I can't, like, is it gonna burst?
I think I read something, or I read it because we watched
Yay! Awesome. ¿Dónde? ¿Dónde? ¿Sabes de dónde? Afuera de aquí.
Come to the in front of rectory.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow, okay. En la rotunda.
Yeah.
You have to take a bicycle.
Yeah.
Da-dun-da-dun-da-da-da. You need a unicycle.
Do you know if
There's no need. There's no need. Yeah, it's a U.S. card. They have no security whatsoever. Yeah, we just only started using chips like 2 years ago. People just stole cards constantly. I'm like, you guys are. Mine does. My Banorte card, it cannot. As of last week, a NIP is required for all transactions now.
But like I have an amic, he didn't have NIP, and now he go in there. I don't know. I've never had like.
It's like a new law, obviously, or not everybody would have done it at once. But the bright side is I don't have to sign anything anymore.
Because how you calling me?
I have a NIP, so there's no signatures, there's none of that.
You don't like the signature?
Well, like I don't need paper. I don't need paper for. I don't need paper.
I think if you're like you have pregnancy, like super low, but that would get like an app which you like block all of the security parts.
So let me tell you what Banorte is doing, and this first appeared in the United States about 20 years ago, and then it immediately disappeared because I guess apparently it was illegal or something. But they generated one-time credit card numbers. So now on my Banorte app, I can generate a one-time credit card number for an online purchase.
Oh, wow.
And it never is my card number. It's a unique temporary credit card number, and it can only be used one time. And I can make a purchase securely without ever worrying about them stealing my credit card number.
Where would it be?
I think because they couldn't track who was making purchases to stop illegal activity. But Banorte's figured out a way to do it. Probably they're just keeping a list of who. Yeah, exactly.
I heard that some people stole from Binance about
Stole from whom?
you know the like not it's not a type of coin, but it's like a marketplace where cryptocurrencies like were created. And they stole from the like where you bought cryptocurrency. So they stole cryptocurrency, and their only thing in that cryptocurrency is used so that it can never be traced.
Yeah, no one could ever find them. Yeah. Serves them right. Unbelievable. Yeah, there's also one time there's a kiosk at the airport in Houston where you can feed it cash and get a Visa card out, and I don't understand how it can exist, because people use that then to pay for child pornography and all this other stuff, and like how do you or buy exactly, like how can that be legal? How can they? And so it's been there for all year, and I'm very surprised. So I'm figuring they must scan your driver's license or take pictures of you or ask for your fingerprint. There must be something else. But I'm not going to go mess with the machine. I don't want to, what do I need one of those cards for? But it's interesting to see the anti-money laundering laws are really super strict in the U.S. Super hard to break.
So the topics for the final.
Yeah, let's go back and look and see what all we've done, because we talked about a bunch of stuff. I have to check my calendar.
Wow.
It's
I know
like,
you can't know, like, but you're no, but I when we were
you guys leaving? Oh, okay. There was I know a school administrator that used to teach that class to all the students. He'd have every student in a small group. One day a week, you would go like at 7:30 in the morning for your hour long with Mr. whatever his name was, Lombardi, I think it was. And they had a custom little spiral calendar they all carried around. And you wrote down when assignments were due and when exams were coming up and the grades you got. And he used it as an administrator to make sure teachers were being fair with the amount of work, and they were talking to each other and not giving exams on the same days and things like that. So he kind of used it as a way to manage what happened. But the kids got really good organizational skills out of it, and he taught them like organizational ideas, how to manage your time, how to plan your time, talk about which assignments were harder, how long did you spend on your homework last night, and make them write down how long they spent. And if somebody was spending too much time, then he would get tutoring for them. And so he was an angel. He was amazing. And then, of course, after a few years of that, he got hired to run an entire school, a huge one in Texas. So he was very good. And He's related to the Lombardi football trophy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the first thing I saw.
Yes, he was the grandfather, I think. Was the guy that did it. Okay, you asked a question about what are we going to cover. So we did this homework before the second midterm, and this one was due because this was due the 23rd, and the midterm was the 27th. So we had these questions. So everything we've done since then has been basically lecture material you guys wanted. So if I go to those, I'll give you some ideas of the things that we're likely going to tackle. It's going to take me a minute to figure out. We did mobile IP, so I'll ask you something about that, and I'll give you a practice problem for it. Let me get back out of this. We talked a little bit about unicast routing protocols. You guys already remember Dijkstra's algorithm and Bellman-Ford, and those were the ones that were the bulk of this chapter. But we also learned more about AS numbers and what they did. And so I may ask you a little bit about that if I can come up with what I think is a fair AS question. Let me see what else we had in there that would have been of interest. We didn't really talk about multicast hardly at all. This is all Dijkstra's stuff. All this stuff is all. Yeah, so we don't need special things there. 12 was more than we talked about. And then I think 13 was the same way. No, we did talk about this quite a bit. So I'll have a couple of refresher things in here on ports. But there was some interesting stuff in here that we went over. We talked about this a little bit. We went through a few of these on windowing, and I may ask you guys to track what's going on with timers. We've done windowing before, but the timers were well, that's not our pizza. The timers are harder. Just to give you a little bit of a review hint for it, TCP can have lots of packets in a window that it's keeping track of. For a packet to be in the window means it's remembering the packet in case it needs to be retransmitted. That's all being in the window really means to us. It's going to send everything in the window, but it stays in the window until it's been acknowledged. So it stays in TCP's send buffer. And if it doesn't get an acknowledgement, it still has a copy of the packet. It doesn't have to go back and ask the app. It can resend it. So that's the idea. So you need to know how long do you wait before you give up and resend the packet. And that's done with a timer. But this is really weird about TCP, there's only one timer running at a time. It's for the oldest unacknowledged packet, which usually means it's for the first packet in the window. So let's say I send packet 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all at the same time. I set one timer for packet 1. Packet 1 never gets acknowledged. None of them get acknowledged. So the timer goes off, and I resend only packet 1. I don't resend the others. There's no timer for the other ones. I don't know that it's too long for them. I don't remember when I sent them. I know that I did, but because I don't have a timer, I don't know how long ago it was. So I'll resend packet 1. I should send packet 2, 3, 4, 5, because they were sent at the same time, but I don't. So I resend packet 1, and I do it again and again, and finally I get an acknowledgement back to packet 1. So I slide my window over, and now I'm looking at packet 2. I notice that it's been sent. I don't know that it was sent 5 timeouts ago or 4 timeouts ago. I should have resent a really long time ago, but I'm just now starting a timer for packet 2 because I can only have one timer running in TCP. So I resend it. I don't get an acknowledgement back. I send it again. I don't get an acknowledgement back. Finally, I get an acknowledgement back, and I move on to packet 3. Packet 3 has been waiting for like 8 timeout rounds, and packet 4 for like 10 or 12. So it's not efficient because if your window's big, the later packets can wait dozens of timeout rounds. The network's broken. You should have given up and gone home a long time ago. But for efficiency reasons, that so rarely happens, and you save so many resources by only dealing with one timer that we just made the decision that, yeah, if things are really bad, then who gives a crap about how many timers? You're never going to get anything done anyway. Even if I had 100 timers, all they're going to tell you is your network's broken. Okay, I don't need 100 people to tell me that. So I just have one timer. But that's a curious thing about what we implemented. Some of the predecessors to TCP had timers for every single packet. Some of the simulators we use have timers for every single packet, but not the TCP that we use. It doesn't do that. So it's kind of surprising. Are they here? Close? Okay. Do they show you how far away? Okay. Okay. Do you guys want to come back up here to eat, or do you want to go downstairs and eat? What do you guys want to do? Because we're kind of done here. You're welcome to use the space to do it. It's air conditioned. And you also don't have to give pizzas to your friends, I guess. But it's totally up to you. You're going to have to trek back.
I feel like people are...
Well, I'll wait around until then if you want. But if you guys want to go to the picnic table, I mean, you can. Totally up to you. They're good questions because they make me get a little bit organized about the final ahead of time. It saves a lot of resources. It's computationally less of a burden on your system because you can have a window with 1,000 packets in it. And can you imagine having to run 1,000 timers? That's 1,000 little subroutines, and it's like if you're not going to run them for all of them, just run one. So the only time it really burns you is if it's like really bad, and by the time you get to packet 2 and 3, you realize even like many timeouts. Well, that network's dead anyway. That network's like, so more timers aren't going to fix it. If the network's dead, resending packets even faster, sooner, is only going to make things worse. So it's kind of a proxy for maybe let the network catch up a little bit. So, it's reasonable, but just not completely intuitive. You send out 10 packages, but you're only going to track the first one. What? Yeah, really? So, only one disaster at a time. But I'll make the final guys. I want it to give you guys a chance to show me you've got the concepts down. It's not a chance to make up for 5 homeworks or kill you on stuff. That's not me. I want it'll be hopefully fun, and I'll prepare you well for the study guide. When you get the study guide, if there's something you don't really totally understand, then just let me know, and I'll record a short little video of it. Or if on Friday night you realize, oh crap, there's exams tomorrow and I don't understand this item, text me and see if you can get me on a WebEx and grab a few people and we'll just answer your questions. I'm totally willing to do that. And that's usually what happens the night before the exam. Somebody, Ivan used to say, they always used to come up to it. Hola, profe, disculpe la hora. It's okay, Ivan. How many people? Like, there's 4 of us. Okay, let's just start. And so for 2 different classes, we did that. And it worked great. They did well. So I'm happy to do that, too. So I have to ask, is that like Shaggy and Daphne, or I can't really see anything in detail from here? Well, Shaggy's kind of metrosexual anyway, so yeah, so I can't really. Hey, Shaggy. Ruh-roh. So you know the guy who did the voices for both of them?
Like the actor.
No, he was a voice actor. His name is Casey Kasem, and he was like a very popular national radio host, like one of these guys you'd listen to, and he did the America's Top 40. He would announce the top 40 songs every Sunday afternoon and play all of them. And so Sunday afternoon for like 4 hours for decades, that was a big musical show, America's Top 40, and I listened to it thousands of times. And he was the voice of, and it blew my mind when I found out. Because then I went like, well, of course, it sounds exactly like him, like duh. But it was super funny. Yeah, no, I can probably play a little audio clip. Yeah, so they probably picked a famous voice actor for him. All right. He had a very smarmy. See if it'll play it here. I know. That's the guy that played Aladdin from a movie. Yeah, exactly, of course.
I'm Casey Kasem. Well, now we're up to the #1 song in the land, and I look back at 4 amazing decades, counting them down. The countdown began on the 4th of July, 19...
That's totally Shaggy. Let's just listen to a little audio of that.
What else?
Oh no idea.
Jerry, as long as we're talking to the young people this morning in their canisters and waking mom and dad up and telling them to get to the telephone, there's another character, a cartoon character that I've played for the past 18 years, and I'd working in syndication. How many of you know the show Scooby-Doo? Yeah. There's a character that I play on that show, the sidekick of Scooby-Doo for the past 17 or 18 years, and his name is Shaggy. Shaggy would like to say a few words to the young people out there, all right? Go ahead. Are you Shaggy? I'm Shaggy. Go ahead, Shaggy talks like this. The way he talks, Jer. And he's always talking about his good buddy Scoob, his old friend, his old pal, his old dear.
That's him. Yeah. Crazy, huh? Yeah. Audio packets are terrible in that recording. All right, so let's see what else we've got here. That's it for that one. I'll have something on that for you guys, because that'll be not too bad. No, I don't need that. 14, I don't know that we did anything on UDP really. 15 we did. We looked at the header in more detail. We looked in more detail about how the bytes and the buffers work. We didn't use tons of that. This basically is the same diagrams as the last chapter, but with more detail. This starts to get into real window sizes. We went through some of that. We didn't spend a lot of time on these, but there are some simpler diagrams that we can use that are basically just like all the other ones you've seen with packets, but now they actually deal with bytes. So that's the golden thing about this book. He actually deals with byte numbers, which is all that we really ever deal with. All right, let me see what else we have in here. I'm all done with finals and grades are in the day in Houston. It's over. Yeah, I know. The last exam was 2 days ago. You start early and then late or something like that. I don't know quite how it works. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording this week. Covered all that. Sorry? Yes.